do have some positive news. You know, this is a very anticipated college football year for UNLV. New stadium, new coach, and we didn't know. We heard the news that the season was most likely going to be canceled, and now, thank goodness, I'm sure it's going to be safe, and we'll learn that from the man who's joining us on the line right now, who I've known for a very long time. He does a great job. He's the Associate Commissioner of the Mountain West, and that would be Javon Hedland. Javon, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Sure, you bet. So take me back to the beginning here. When did you guys first realize that this virus could become a huge problem and games would have to be canceled? And then take me to the decision that you guys recently made that we are going to see college football, if you can.
Well, I think the whole pandemic became a huge reality, if I recall, in the beginning of March. In fact, Mountain West was very fortunate to be able to get its basketball tournament in Las Vegas,
right?
Because we had moved it up a week because of all the conventions and the lack of hotel space. So we were fortunate to be able to get the whole tournament in. But that week it started to reach its peak a little bit of concern for folks. The following week, of course, we were preparing for the NCAA tournament while other conferences were playing their tournaments, and then most of them had to cancel or postponed right in the middle of their tournaments. And then all of a sudden we saw the NCAA tournament falter. All of our, every conference canceled its spring sports. And so that's when it first started. And then it kind of went into the fall, hoping that we were going to be able to play a fall season in not only football, but women's volleyball, women's soccer, and cross country. And then it just became apparent that it wasn't going to happen on time, so our presidents chose to indefinitely postpone the season.
Right.
And then most recently, with all the improvements in testing, daily testing, the cost of testing going down, being able to do antigen testing 3 times a week, the board felt there was an appropriate way to move forward and bring back the football season. So we just did that. We announced the football schedule yesterday, as you saw, and we're all getting ready to get started on October 24th.
Yeah, and of course UNLV is on the road against San Diego State, and then this is really exciting. As you know, Javon, we have a new stadium here in Las Vegas where the Raiders are playing, and it'll be great to allow some fans in there. So can we talk a little bit about that? How many fans are going to be allowed? Is it a different case-by-case basis per stadium and state? What are some of the specific protocols you can give us as far as fans and that's concerned?
Yeah, fans will be up to each of the different state, county, and local rules, guidelines, and approvals. So a lot of our states right now are not having fans. For example, New Mexico is not allowed to have fans. Colorado right now is not allowed to have fans. But you're going to see places like Nevada that you're allowed to have up to 10%. So that's, about 6,500 for UNLV.
Right.
I think there's going to be 2,200 for Nevada. Wyoming, in their first game on the 24th, they're going to have up to 7,000. So that's how it's going to start. We'll see where it ends up. We hope that other institutions will be able to have fans. And we know that some institutions probably won't have fans throughout the entire season. And the one highlight that I like about the UNLV schedule is they're going to have their home opener in their brand new stadium against their rival in Nevada. And hopefully there'll be a good 6,500 at that venue, if not more.
Which is absolutely awesome, and yeah, we were just talking about that. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and it is a beautiful stadium. I'll be going to the game Sunday to watch the Raiders play the Buffalo Bills. So, with that being said, what's it going to look like as far as bowl eligibility? I mean, in bowl games, and what is this? Can you just explain to the average college football fan what does this mean for the end of the season?
I believe there will be bowl games. Which bowl games are going to be there? I think ESPN and the other bowl affiliates are still working through those agreements and what it's going to look like. You have to remember a lot of the bowl games started that second to third week of December.
Right.
And most conference championship games are on December 19th.
Right.
So where do those bowls fit in? Do they stay before Christmas? Do they go after Christmas? Those are discussions that are still going on. I believe there will be some bowl games, of course, for the Mountain West and the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But what exactly it's going to look like, we don't know that as of today.
Sure. Now, can you talk a little bit about testing and what happens if a player is tested positive for the virus? How often are these players and coaches going to be tested? What would be the proper protocol? Because obviously you can't keep a bunch of college kids confined to their dorm room and only practice, right? I mean, they're going to be able to go out. And so how often are these players and coaches going to be tested? And what happens if somebody does contract the virus?
Each team will have some type of bubble that they will have, of course, because they're going to be traveling to away sites plus being at home. So that bubble will be tested 3 times a week. And then on game days, those folks that are on the field, let alone the bubble, will be tested. So you have, for the Mountain West, during the football season, it'll be 3 times a week. And then the protocols are being set up right now and being established by a working group within the conference that will establish everything when it comes down to if a student-athlete, an administrator, or a coach tests positive, what their protocols will be. If it's going to be sitting out for 10, 14, 21 days,
sure,
where they can go. That's all being put together because it's not only just about the home team. What about the visiting team? And if something comes down with a positive test while they're on the road, how is that all handled? And before October 24th, all of that will be distributed once it's finalized.
So as you've known, and by the way, if you're just joining us, Javon Hedland is with us. He's the Associate Commissioner of the Mountain West. Of course, that's where UNLV plays. I know that we're still early, and I understand the college basketball season is, well, it's really not that far away. Let's be honest, a little under 2 months. We haven't talked a lot about that. What is that going to look like? Have you guys discussed that as far as, conference play, the conference tournament? I don't know if even people are going to be allowed to be in the Thomas and Mack Center. Have you guys had those discussions yet about the college basketball season? It's my understanding that UNLV, their first game is the last week in November.
Yeah, the NCAA came out a few weeks ago and said the start of the basketball season will be November 25th rather than the original start date of November 10th. So we're all gearing up to start basketball on November 25th. They'll have some non-conference games. The Atlantic 10 Mountain West Challenge has been postponed for this year. So if an institution still wants to play that game, if it's on their schedule, they can, but they don't necessarily have to if both institutions agree that they're going to move forward from it. So there will be some non-conference play. We're going to start the conference season toward, I think typically the end of end of December, beginning of January, and play a full conference season, an 18-game conference season like we have previously. And the goal right now is to have the basketball tournament in March again and have it at the Thomas and Mack. And what it's going to look like with fans, we don't know. As of right now, if it's 10% of what Nevada is allowed to have in arenas, we'll be at a 10% capacity, and we'll just cross our fingers that changes by March so that we can have a full house if possible.
Great. So, Javon, can you put this into context? And by the way, I think you guys are going about this the right way, the safe way. Can you just talk about what this means for these student athletes? Because, I remember last year, we were talking a little bit about the Mountain West Conference basketball tournament, and I felt so horrible for that Utah State team. Why? Because, you had so many quality seniors on that team, and they were looking forward to playing into the NCAA tournament, and they were robbed. They were robbed of, those games in the NCAA tournament for nobody's fault, but I just felt sorry for them, and I feel sorry for these college athletes all across the country that were not able to finish their senior year or even have much of a senior year. What do you think, with that being said, what do you think this really truly means? I would imagine it means a lot for these student athletes that you're telling them, guys, you can go, and girls, you can go out there and you can play your senior year. It might not be the exact same as if there wasn't a global pandemic, but you can still go out there and compete. This has to mean a lot for these kids that are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old that just want to be able to go out there and compete in a safe environment.
I think you said it perfect. From the very beginning, going into the spring season, going into the fall season, the primary focus has always been about creating opportunities for our student athletes to compete and to do so in a properly managed environment.
Right.
And so, yes, it was very disappointing to see Utah State and San Diego State not have a chance to get into the men's basketball tournament. You had Utah State have that thrilling win over San Diego State, who most likely would have been a number 1 or number 2 seed, which would have been the highest the Mountain West has ever had.
Right.
Before that, it was New Mexico at number 3. So, I mean, for all the student athletes and all the sports in the spring, I mean, it was devastating for them not to have their season. Now that hopefully they all get their season back if they choose to come back. And I'm so excited that the student athletes are going to be able to get out there and play this football season. The first weekend when college football started and I turned on the TV and didn't see a Mountain West game, it was just a kick in the gut, And so I'm excited that our student athletes will have the opportunity to showcase their talents and do what they love.
Absolutely. Well, Javon, you do a great job over there, and everyone at the Mountain West Conference. We're really excited that we're going to be able to watch some football and basketball soon. Look forward to seeing you when you come out here and travel back over here to Las Vegas. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
Thank you. Then again, that is Javon Hedland, who is the